I never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me. Yeah, wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another reason to breathe this air, and that we made for ourselves. This won't be the last time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this.
Hey y'all, this is Buddy from Kirk County Robotics, and today I'll be giving you an overview of the basics of gears. Now, at our latest robotics meeting, we used this lesson for the meeting, for the practice, and we went over the basics of gears using this little robot right here. And first off, I'd like to point out that all the credit for this lesson goes to Lego. They're the ones who made this, designed it, and put it together. This is a part of a big curriculum called Space Challenge. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it. I strongly recommend it. It's pretty neat. But the first lesson is called Basics of Gears, and I really wanted to do a tutorial for y'all because this is very handy when it comes to competitions with robotic arms and wheels, with gearing up, gearing down, especially with sumo bots. If anyone does those kind of competitions, this is extremely important. Okay, so let's just jump right in. Gears are an important part when designing an action for your robot to carry out. Gears are all around us. Gears are toothed wheels. Two or more gears meshed together can be used to transfer force, increase or reduce speed, and change the direction of rotary motion. So, just to show you how this little design works, it's made out of two motors, and then it's just wired up to the brake. Pretty simple. And so right here, this motor is to demonstrate just the normal motor of normal rotation, what it looks like. Then over here, it's supposed to show you what it looks like with gears. So right here, it's basically what it does, showing what a normal motor would do and what a geared motor would do, and we'll be switching out these gears throughout the lesson. The gear that is closer to the source of power is called the drive gear. So this one right here is the drive gear. And the gear that receives power from the input gear is called the output gear. So right here is the output gear, that's the input gear. The gear ratio is the number of times the input gear turns in relation to one complete revolution of the output gear. So in other words, if this turns once, and if this was a smaller gear, it would probably turn maybe 3 times, then the gear ratio is 3. But in this case, for one rotation of this gear does a full rotation. So it's 1-to-1 gearing in this example. Gear ratio can also be calculated by using the number of teeth on each gear. To calculate the gear ratio, divide the number of teeth on the output gear by the number of teeth on the input gear. So that's a basic little math problem you can do to figure out your gear ratio as well. So you would have to, let's see. So the output gear, this one, you divide it by the number on the input gear. So basically, since they're the same, it would be 1. But you divide this number of teeth by this number. Alright, let's see what's next. If the gear ratio equals 1, then the speed and torque of the output wheel is equal to the speed and torque of the input gear. This is called 1-to-1 gearing. For this example, that's what this is, 1-to-1. If the gear ratio is less than 1, the speed of the output gear is faster than the input gear. Also, the torque of the output gear is less than the torque of the input gear. This is called gearing up. If the gear ratio is greater than 1, then the speed of the output gear is slower than the input gear. Also, the torque of the output gear is greater than the torque of the input gear. This is called gearing down. Now, gearing down is especially good for getting a lot of power, but you lose speed. But you do get a ton of power when you gear down. So basically, I already mentioned that it's made out of just two motors, and one's to show what a motor does without gears, and one's to show what it does with gears. And I already downloaded the program that I run. So, first example is, I guess this is the medium gray gear, I guess is the size. Don't know the technical name, but anyway, this is 1-to-1 gearing. So like you saw, it does the same amount of rotation with gears on the same power. But one thing is, if you gear once, it reverses the direction. So that's important to remember, especially with sumo bots, because if you put gears on, you gotta be sure you do negatives to go forward and then positives to go backwards. So it gets kind of tricky when programming, but that's important to remember when gearing. If you gear 3 times, then it's normal direction. So that's just a neat thing to keep in mind. So I'm gonna swap these out. One second. Alright, there we go. So in this case we have the biggest gray gear to the smallest little gray gear. So in this case, as you can see, the same power, the program's doing the same thing. It's on power 15 for 1 rotation. And this motor does 1 rotation. Then watch how many rotations this one does. It does quite a few. So this is giving you a lot of speed. But it's very weak. Like you see right here, see how much wiggle room there is because of the gearing? So that's kind of dangerous if you're looking for more torque, for example, with a sumo bot. So that's kind of a downside. But this will give you a lot of speed. So if you really want to get to your opponent fast, or for a line following program, possibly if you have one for a challenge you're doing, you got to follow a line, you might consider gearing up to give you a lot more speed to follow that line, because following the line is very time consuming. So let's count the rotations. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It does 4, I believe. So we'll check that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 rotations. So this does 4 rotations for that normal 1 rotation. So next, I'm going to reverse these. Now this is gearing down, and this is going to give you a lot of torque. Like, see, I can't even move this. It's without moving this one. It's pretty powerful. Okay, let's see what it's going to do. As you can tell, it did like a quarter of a rotation versus 1 here. So it's very slow. Let's see how many it takes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for every 1 rotation of a normal motor, it'll do 5 for this. So it's a lot slower. And the other way around, if you reverse it, it does 4 to 1. So it goes a lot faster. I guess 4 times faster technically than the average motor when you reverse these, and it goes 5 times slower if you reverse them. So that's the big difference with those, the gearing up, gearing down. Next, I'm going to do this. So this is going to be 2 small to 1 medium. Is the gearing. There we go. Alright, let's see what this does. So it takes about 3 normal rotations to do 1 full rotation of this. And this is making it go the same direction, as you can see. So gearing 3 times makes it go the same direction. See how it's doing Yeah, it takes 3 of these to do 1 rotation of that. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the basics of gearing. I hope you guys learned something from this video. Again, all of the credit goes to Lego for this lesson. I taught it at our first meeting, and if anyone's interested in using it at their robotics project, it goes a lot more in depth than what I just showed you. This is very slight overview of what they teach. They ask questions, they want the kids to log their answers, they want to predict what they ask them, like, for example, which way do you think it's going to turn before you play the program? Which way is the wheel going to turn? Is it counterclockwise, clockwise? And they also ask them to figure out what the gear ratio is. It's really good for the basics of gears. So I highly recommend it for anyone who's doing a sumo walk competition, or even one of the basic challenge competitions with following the line or delivering objects. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.